here so I can. Okay, so if I sit like this, are you guys all going to be able to see the flashcards? Yeah. Well, I'm trying to kind of get in the middle so everyone can see. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. So, kiku means here. So, and it also introduces a new meaning, which is ask, as in asking a question. So, let's experiment with something. Since we're reading the Japanese without seeing the English, let's see what happens if we just do kiku, to ask, 3 times. So everybody try it with me. So kiku, to ask, and we keep it. Kiku, to ask. So let's see if that works. Yaru, to do, yes. Good. Okay. Ishoni means together. Ishoni, together. Ishoni, together.
Totemo.
Very. Totemo.
Very. Totemo. Very. Kawaii.
Yes, kawaii, scary.
Scary.
Kawaii, scary.
Tanoshi, fun.
Yes, tanoshi, fun.
Tanoshi, fun.
Furui, old.
Old.
Furui, old.
Furui, old. Yasashi, kind.
Kind, yes. Yasashi, kind. Yasashi, kind. I think gentle is another definition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bus. Bus.
Hi.
Bus. 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 Hair. Room.
Yeah.
Hair. Room. Hair. Room. Yasumi. Rest. Yasumi. Rest. Yasumi. To rest. Atsui. Hot. Atsui. Hot. Atsui. Hot. My. No.
Flat object.
Yes, counter for thin flat objects.
Thin flat objects.
Yes.
Ichimai.
Like ichimai, nimai for flashcards. Ichimai, nimai for CDs,
Counters.
T-shirts, pieces of paper, anything made out of paper like stamps or tickets or, stuff like that. Okay, so my, it's like counter for thin flat objects.
My counter for thin flat objects.
Yes. Okay.
Umi,
Ocean.
sea.
Yeah, umi is the ocean or the sea, yes. It's used to refer to the beach in the sense of let's go to the beach, but it doesn't actually mean beach, it means the ocean or the sea.
Ticket.
Ticket. Yeah.
Shukudai, homework.
Right.
Shukudai, homework. Shukudai, homework. Testo. Test. Testo. Testo. Test.
Right.
No, drink.
So, no.
Drink.
Drink.
Yeah, a drink as in something to drink, not the verb. Yeah. Yeah. The nomi is from nomimas, right? And the mono means thing.
Drinking.
Yeah, so something to drink, quite literally.
Noru.
To ride.
Yeah. Noru, to ride. Noru,
Oh, right.
ride. To ride, as
Yeah.
in basu ni noru. Basu ni norimasu. Yeah.
To go out.
Yes.
To
go out.
To go out. Dekakeru, to go out.
Right.
Sore kara, from there.
And then.
And then.
Sore kara. And then.
Sore kara, and
And then,
then.
yeah. So that sorekara is like, you do a sentence, and then you can start the next sentence with sorekara. So,
After that.
明日東京に行きます。それから京都に行きます。Or something like that.
Okay. すごく。
はい。
Extremely.
Extremely.
Yeah,
はい。すごく。
Sugoku.
すごく extremely.
すごく extremely.
すごく extremely.
Yeah. Notice that sugoi with an e ending would be extreme, like more the adjective form. The sugoku is more the adverb form.
Samui.
Someone's cold.
Right?
Someone's cold. Someone's cold.
And this is referring to weather, not something that's cold to the touch. So if it's too cold in the room, it's samui.
Samui.
But if you've got like an ice cube in your hand, that's sumetai. That's a different word that they're not introducing this chapter.
Chisai, small.
Right?
Chisai, little. Chisai, little.
Yeah, little or small. Yeah.
Yasui.
Yes.
Cheap?
Yes.
Or isn't it easy to expense? Or is that?
Yasu,
Yes.
yasui is inexpensive or cheap. Yasashi is kind. But when yasashi refers to like a subject or something, then it can be easy. But yasashi, when it refers to a human, means kind.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, not easy.
Yasui.
Yasui is cheap.
Yes.
Is cheap.
Yasui
Yasui is
is
cheap.
inexpensive. Cheap, yes.
Don't
Okay.
know.
What kind?
What kind of, yes.
What kind of?
Yeah, so you remember the, like, doko and dore and all of those guys, donna is what type, what kind.
What
Yeah.
time?
What kind?
Don't know what time. Don't know what time.
Right.
Hikoki airplane.
Right.
Hikoki airplane. Hikoki airplane.
Right.
Boku. I. Boku. I. Boku. I.
And that's generally only used by guys.
Yeah.
And there's a sort of a weird gender gap, or age gap rather, where older men use boku a lot, young kids use boku a lot, but guys your age don't really use it that much. It's a weird generational thing that guys in their like 20s and 30s generally are more likely to say ore, which is just a more modern masculine word for I. Boku sounds like a little boy to a lot of Japanese young people. It sounds like, I said that when I was in elementary school, I don't want to use it anymore. But then there's an older generation, guys in like their 50s and 60s, that's the norm for them, and they've never used anything else. So, boku.
Trouble. Trip.
Yeah, ryoko is trip.
Trip.
Yeah, ryoko, trip.
Ryoko. Trip.
Yeah, ryoko suru with the shimasu on the end would be to travel, to do a trip, to do travel, so,
Oki, big.
yeah.
Oki, big. Oki, big.
Notice the spelling.
Oh.
Remember way back at the beginning of first semester when we talked about the fact that ou was the more common spelling for long o sounds, but o would occur occasionally? There's an example. There it is, oki. It's an unusual spelling, but there are still some words that use it.
Okay.
So,
Oki.
oki. And there's a kanji that corresponds to this as well, which comes up in a later chapter. It's an easy kanji to write. I'm not sure why they take so long to introduce it, but they do.
Mare. Until.
Yes.
Mare. Until. Mare. Until.
Right.
Se.
Kitte. Right.
De. Postcard.
Postcard. No, postal stamp. Stamp.
Stamp.
Kitte is the stamp.
Oh, okay.
day.
ポストしてでポストして
Right.
サーフィン
Surfing.
サー
Surfing.
サーフィン OK サーフィン
Surfing.
サーフィン
はい。はい。
サーフィン
食べ物。
食べ物
はい
でダメ
はい。はい。
そう
Yeah, so just like nomimono was a thing to drink, tabemono is a thing you eat.
So like
Yeah, kaimono is a thing to buy, shopping. Yeah, kaimono. Yeah. So,
Tenki, weather.
Yep.
Tenki,
weather tenki weather
Hagaki, postcard.
postcard はがき postcard はがき postcard
はい。
大丈夫
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's okay, it's all right.
It's all right.
And it also gets used as a question, like,
大丈夫ですか?
大丈夫ですか? Are you okay?
およ
To swim.
およ
はい。
Oyo to swim.
swim およく
Swim.
This one. はい。
Hina, pool.
free time
Or free.
Free time, himana, to have free time. Bless you. Himana.
free time 今な free time
にぎやかな。にぎやか
にぎやか I don't know
Nigiyakana is lively, as in a town that has a lot going on. So think, Times Square at New Year's Eve. That's Nigiyaka.
な。にぎやかな。
lively
Nigiyakana.
にぎやかな
Yeah.
にぎやかな。
にぎやか
Nigiyakana.
にぎやかな。
Okay, and then the na is in parentheses for a reason, but we'll talk about that when we start getting into grammar.
大好き。
大好き really likes
Yeah, daisukina.
大好きな
Yeah.
really likes
To love it,
Oh.
really
Love.
like it a lot, yeah.
好き。
Daisuki, yeah, the dai means large. Yeah, so it's like,
好き。
yeah,
大好き
ski,
大好き
yeah, ski, the pronunciation sounds more like ski, skina, daisukina.
just
大嫌い。
大
I
嫌い
hate.
really hate
Yeah,
It's
something
like
you
it.
hate, yeah.
好きな。
好きな like
She's
Yeah, something
Quiet.
quiet, yeah, quiet, peaceful.
Yeah.
Shizukana.
be peaceful 元気 lively
Hi, genkina, lively.
元気
This is genki, lively or energetic for a person, where nigiyakana was about a place more likely. So genkina describes like, my daughter, for example, who's bouncing off the walls all the time. Yeah, energetic. It can mean healthy in the sense of you're healthy, you're feeling well, you're not sick, but it implies having a high energy level. It gets used in both senses, but the two are sort of combined either way. So genki desu ka is a common greeting, which is, are you well, basically. Hi, genki desu. Yes, I'm fine. But it implies a certain amount of energy, that you're not just sitting there, that you actually have some energy to get up and do stuff. Otherwise, you're not genki.
きれい。pretty.
Kireina, yes, pretty.
きれいな。
Beautiful. Kireina.
pretty beautiful
Pretty, beautiful. Kireina.
嫌
You
い。
made it!
To dislike.
はい。
嫌い
Dislike.
Kireina.
To dislike.
To dislike.
could it say hate still
Disgusted with.
Yeah, to dislike, to hate. Dai kirai is so strong, it doesn't get used that often. Even kiraina is fairly strong and doesn't get used that much.
What do you say? Yeah.
That is also fairly strong, but we're gonna learn how to do negatives, like skitanitis, and that's more common than kirai. Yeah. Yeah, muskashi.
Gashi difficult
Difficult. And notice the spelling, it came over to the next line just because of size.
yeah
But I left it like that because I wanted to just let you guys get used to the fact that Japanese
breaks.
doesn't care
Spread swear
where it breaks. It doesn't matter if it leaves one little letter dangling on the next line. They just break wherever they run out of space. So, muzikashi, difficult.
難しい
Right,
つまらない boring
right,
つまらない boring つまらない boring
right.
かっこいい
Kakkoi,
cool
cool, yeah, good looking or cool. Yeah, kakkoi,
cool
cool, good looking. Yeah, kakkoi, the original meaning was looking good, good looking. But it's come to mean more like cool these days.
Awesome.
Awesome, yeah, something like that. Kakkoi,
面白い interesting
interesting.
面白い interesting
Yeah.
面白い interesting
はい、
忙しい busy
はい、
忙しい busy 忙しい busy
はい、
新しい new
はい、
新しい new 新しい new
はい、
誕生日 birthday
はい。
誕生日 birthday 誕生日 birthday
Right. Okay, so that's all the vocab from that segment, and then we've got kanji.
食べる
食べる
はい、食べる。
食べる
To eat.
to eat 食べる eat 食べる to eat
はい、
行く to
行く
go
to go 行く to go 行く to go
飲む to drink
no
飲む
no to drink no to drink
今日
kill
today
はい、
今日
kill today
kill.
kill today
Yeah, so notice it looks like ima and nichi, but it's pronounced kyo. And by the way, if you put a wa here, this is also the kanji for konnichiwa. Yeah.
山田さん
山田さん
はい、
Mr. 山田
はい、はい
山田さん
Right, so this is a typical surname. Place descriptions that have something to do with nature are one of the most common kinds of Japanese surnames. So Yamada is literally mountain rice paddy.
Mr. Rice Paddy
Yeah, Mr. Mountain Rice Paddy.
Mr. Rice Paddy
Yeah, yeah, but a lot of common surnames that you've heard before are place description type of names. You've heard of Kawasaki, bank of the river. Yeah, you've heard of Honda, original rice paddy. Yeah.
My car is an original.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
男の人
Hi,
a man
yes.
が
Yeah, a guy, a man, 男の人. Right. And it does imply adult man. Otoko no ko, with the ko that means horono, would be a boy. Yeah, so otoko no hito is a man.
田中さん
Hi,
田中さん
hi, Tanaka-san, another surname that's rice paddy, middle of the rice paddy. So,
田中さん
Tanaka-san. You can tell a lot of the surnames originated from people just taking on the name of a description of, which Jiro are you talking about? The Jiro who lives in the middle of the rice paddy. Tanaka-san.
Oh,
Tanaka Jiro-san.
Jiro-san.
Yeah. So, yeah,
So
because,
Tanaka-san
yeah, Tanaka-san is another surname. Yeah, so, yeah, Japanese peasants didn't originally have surnames. Surnames were something that only the noble classes had for a long time, and then in a more modern era, they started deciding that they needed to do a census and they wanted everybody to have a surname so they could keep track of who was who. And so a lot of people's names just became, oh, so-and-so who lives at the base of the bridge, Hashimoto. Or so-and-so who lives at the base of the mountain, Yamamoto.
女の人
Yeah,
woman
yes, onna no hito.
woman 女の人 woman
はい。
見る見るsee見る see
Yeah, and to watch, to look at, all of those. はい。
川
はい。
river
Yes.
川
Kawa
river
Kawa
river
river
はい。So, and again, kawa shows up in a bunch of surnames as well.
Tenki, weather. Tenki, weather. Tenki, weather.
Right.
Ima,
Ima,
now. Ima,
Ima, now.
Ima,
Now.
Yama,
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 mountain. Yama, mountain.
Yama,
Yama, mountain.
Right.
Genki, Genki,
Tenkina.
Genki,
Oh, wait.
Genkina.
Genki,
Okay, let's look at
It does
Genki
look
and
like
Tenki
it.
side by side, so you can start to see the difference.
Tenki,
Tenki and Genki.
Isn't that the 10 for heaven?
Yes, this is the 10 that means heaven, and this is the Gen that means origin. Okay, Genkina, lively, energetic, healthy. Remember that one? Okay, Genkina, and then
Watashi.
Watashi.
I.
Watashi.
Watashi, I, Watashi, I.
Okay, and since these two are easily confused, let's do a quick writing thing. Okay, so if you contrast them, this one originated perhaps, this is at least one theory, as a person standing under a cloud, and the cloud representing the heavens, you know. And the person is standing there saying big, right? Because this kanji means big, and it comes from that image. Because this kanji, you already know, means person, right? And this one just looks like, you know, your person striding, you know. But if you shift to a front view and put your arms out, you get the shape of oki, right? Big. You know, and that's like so typical of how little kids describe something. If they're saying that something's big, it was this big, right?
Yep.
So that's like the most obvious shape character, right? And then a cloud over the top, well, the person is saying it's this big, and it's represented with a cloud, heaven. Makes sense, right? So how else are you going to draw a picture of heaven, right? In 3 seconds. So that's the 10 from Tenki. Okay, and then Gen, origin. I don't have a good story for this one, but I can break it down for you, because the top part looks like what? 2, right? Ni. And the bottom part, this radical is sometimes referred to as legs. 2 legs. So, and the meaning of this one is origin, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if they think about like the origin of species and we have 2 legs or something, I don't know. I don't have a perfect mnemonic for that one. I'm not sure how 2 legs equates to origin. But if you're familiar with martial arts or Chinese medicine or any of that stuff, the ki that they're talking about here is the ki that means spirit, right? Which sometimes gets translated as life force. You know, if you're into like Tai Chi or whatever, it's the ki that they talk about being the force that runs through your whole body and gives you strength and life. It's the ki that acupuncturists work on when they put needles in you. It's the ki that martial artists talk about, that you have to use ki with your punches and your kicks and whatever. And so that ki, it's pronounced chi in Chinese, but it's ki in Japanese. And, you know, so you've heard of it with Tai Chi, right? It's the chi that they talk about all the time there, too. So Genki, original ki, is like the spirit that you were born with, that comes from the universe or whatever spiritual thing you believe in that animates you and gives you life and makes you who you are. So Genki, that energy is like the force that makes you human, that makes you alive, that makes you who you are. So that's interesting, huh? And then Tenki, heaven spirit, is the weather. Who's got control of the weather? Most, like ancient mythologies, the gods are in control of the weather somehow or other, right? You know, whether it's Zeus with his lightning bolts, or whether it's the Shinto gods deciding when to cover up the sun and when to reveal the sun, you know. The creation myths of most cultures attribute weather to the gods somehow or other, right? So it kind of makes sense. Tenki is weather. Heaven's spirits. Yeah. And Genki is the original spirit, the life force that makes you who you are. So hopefully that helps you distinguish between the two, because they do look somewhat similar until you get used to telling the difference. But if you can see that the Tenki one, it's got Oki in it, this one. And you can see that this one, it doesn't cut through because it's the two and then the legs supporting that, right? So 2 legs versus a cloud and big. Okay, so hopefully that helps you distinguish between them so that they're not too easily confused anymore. So you guys can start to read your lesson 5 material, and let's see, I just might have something here for you guys to look at while lesson 5. Aha, conjugation review chart. Erase all of my creation here. Okay, let's see, is it coming on? Yeah, it's starting to be visible. How's that? Help it. This. Okay, trying to get this down. Okay. How's that look? Can you guys, is that a decent size for writing, or should I make it a little larger? Does that work for filling in some conjugation practice? For the 3 of you, yeah. While I'm working with them on their vocab, if you guys don't think you want to necessarily work on their vocabulary and kanji, you guys could work on that while I do some lesson 10 content with my lesson 10 people. You want to come over here? So actually, they want to come to this seat. I'm
Like a heifer.
sit.
It's like a heifer.
That way I can kind of sit out of the way of the Keiki, keiki, keiki.
Oh, Sega. Okay.
Toshi,
Toshi.
toshi, toshi, this year, this year, this year. Sakura,
Fato desu.
sakura,
No, I think I'm supposed to like put it in those like
Shots.
regular pasta.
Okay.
shots,
I don't know how to do that.
shirt.
Hello, or something must, something. Shide.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Deshita.
Like another adjective. Yeah.
That's, like, there was,
Sushi,
that's a, that's a
Sushi.
It's not a, we can do the mash.
So what's the difference between like,
Yeah, I don't know, just the form.
Yeah, but we don't do the mash letters. So we have to, like, conjugate it, press it.
Whirl, whirl, whirl. There's no small two in there, so don't, it's just sekai, sekai. That's it. Subway, subway, subway.
is that present?
No, that's.
But shouldn't it be guys as well?
Tempura,
I don't know if
tempura, tempura, tempura.
No, present negative would be.
present, is past, present.
Notice the kanji,
So past.
that same thing you know we just talked about. Heavenly fried food, exactly.
Past negative will be that.
Yeah.
Not that.
Yeah, well, tempura is Japanese food, but apparently the idea of it came from Portuguese
Oh, wait, no,
or
that's
something back in the 14, 1500s when Europeans first
Why'd you
moved
change it to
in.
Kuku?
So
Because that's how many.
they gave it a Japanese
Oh,
name
yeah.
because they didn't use
Oh, I
Kuku
get it. I'm so
But,
slow.
Do you know
Yeah.
when fried food became a thing by chance?
no idea. It seems to go way
Oh, I get it. You changed
I
it
know
to
they had
the.
bacon on the Oreo drink, but I don't know if that was fried or how they did that.
Probably, yeah, I would guess Franklin fried.
Yeah.
So, but I
Later
think
anyways.
I think fried food in general is one of the oldest ways of cooking things.
Probably just drops in the oil, it's like,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Tokoyaki.
Let's do it.
So Tokoyaki. Tokoyaki. Barbershop. Barbers. Barbershop. Hadu. 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 Spring. Spring.
So what, okay, the next one is,
And that is the season, Hadu, not,
Okay.
it's not like the springy things in your bed or whatever, or in your head. Hadu, yes, Haruko, very common girl's name, yeah, and, yeah, it doesn't usually occur in guys' names too much. It's
Yeah,
not
because you
masculine
replace the
enough,
E.
but Haru in girls' names.
So I guess I would explain it, because
Right
some
here.
of the less masculine guys in like anime
Yeah.
and dramas and such, I think.
In the negative, you can use.
Oh,
Ko.
Yeah, that's possible, yeah, yeah, like Haruki is a
Oh.
modern
So you change the
girl's
E to
name. Which kanji is most commonly used for the second kanji?
I don't know.
I don't know, yeah, that's possible, I guess, yeah.
They use the same kanji, so like just they'd be the same.
Yeah, they
Taka.
use kanji that have
Taka.
meanings that they like for names, so
Ka.
Hiroyuki, for example,
Small soup.
is sometimes the hero that means
Yeah.
broad or spacious, and
Yeah,
yuki for snow is common for that one. Like a broad field of snow is considered like a beautiful thing, so, and that's a good thing. But there are a lot of nature names and a lot of like positive character trait names
So,
in Japanese.
like,
Okay, so let's see, so okay, Hansu, 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 pants, pants, pants. Okay. And Yoi,
That's the beauty part.
no, What?
Naka, like,
Remember this
like,
whole
Naga,
yogi,
Naga,
yogi,
no.
right? It's the same yogi,
No.
yogi means illness, right? This,
Oh,
this
okay.
be is beauty, and then yo is part of the word for makeup. So it's
Oh my gosh, that's so hard to do.
something that makes you beautiful, and then E for an institution. So it's a place where you go to get beautiful.
I gotta be careful when you say, I'm going to the beauty parlor, I'm going to the hospital.
Right, yeah, exactly. You gotta be careful. Yogi versus yogi. That would be a weird word. Who knows what that is? Okay, so beam. 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 Flight. Flight. As in.
No, I don't care.
Yes.
Like number, like, there's a morning flight, there's an evening flight, that kind of flight.
How would they say the numbers for that?
They would probably say each digit, like if the flight number is, yeah, some need to be, yeah.
Okay.
Kune. Ship. Boat. Ship. Yaku. Yaku. Baseball. Baseball. You can tell that's one of the oldest Western sports to make it to Japan, because they still use kanji for it. Again, predates the use of katakana specifically for loanwords. Yumeiji. Celebrity. And again, if you look at the kanji, the yu there means to have. It's the kanji that gets used for aru. And there's the na from namae, right? So a person that has a name, yeah, celebrity. Makes sense, right?
Isn't it the same kanji for, Yume, just Yume not?
Yes,
Yume
yume,
famous?
yeah, same kanji. Okay, so
Shouldn't it be,
yoyaku.
is it you for the name?
Yoyaku. Wait, what's reservation?
This one, doesn't it usually?
Reservation. Gaigakki.
Why didn't you add
Gaigakki.
oh, in the mind.
Gaigakki. Next semester? Next semester.
Sorry.
Next semester.
I don't know.
And you remember the kanji for kuru? We've had the kanji for kuru, right? Gai is another pronunciation of kuru. See that? It's the same kanji. So it's actually the coming school term,
What
next
is the,
semester.
what's the last kanji?
That ki is the word that means like a term, a time period. And the gaku obviously is to study, right? So daigakki is literally coming school time period. Coming school term, next semester. They could just as easily have translated it as next quarter if you were in a school that had a quarter system. It just means the next school term, whatever blank term that happens to be.
What's that for reservation? I meant by you,
Yeah, like making a dinner reservation or a hotel reservation or, yeah, anything like that.
Kanji for child.
The yo-yoku, no, it's a little bit different. It's hard to spell, but it's drawn as three separate pieces instead of two pieces. Yeah, it's actually,
So we don't
I
conjugate
think
that,
it's like a
we do.
katakana ma on top and then a hook and then the cross
Do you know what the hook means by itself?
by itself now.
To see that, okay, because I kind of.
It's like any other verb.
The book itself doesn't necessarily have a meaning that's stands alone, it's just, yeah, it's a common component. It's not a standalone component. Okay, let's do bingo, 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 apple, apple, apple. Not to be confused with the beetle. Okay, atatakai, 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 warm, warm, warm.
I cannot wait to
Okay, and before you swallow your tongue, takai is like a slang version. The first ta gets replaced with a small tsu, takai. So if you find yourself in danger of biting your tongue while trying to conjugate atakai, then you could conjugate atakai instead. Atakakata. Hi.
If you drop the ah, would that be to fight?
Tatakao, yeah.
Tatakao.
Yeah. Tatakao is the verb to fight, and tatakai would be a fight. Turns it into a noun form. Yeah, the stem as a standalone of certain verbs turns it into a noun. Doesn't work on every verb, but certain verbs, the stem becomes a noun.
Shizukana.
Okay. Osoi. Osoi.
Because
Slow. Late. Slow. Suzushi.
this,
Suzushi.
Shizuka janai desu.
Suzushi.
So Shizuka,
Cool weather.
Shizuka janai desu.
Cool weather.
Shizuka deshita.
Sumitai.
Shizuka janakatta desu.
Sumitai.
Oh, this.
Sumitai.
Janaka.
Cold. Cold. Cold.
Janakatta
So
desu.
that, they say things or people. So for example, an ice cube is sumitai. But also, like, if somebody just totally ignores you, shuts you down or whatever, sumitai, that works too. They use it for that kind of, you know, like somebody's being totally mean and rude to you, sumitai.
With E adjectives, can you put that directly on hito, so
Hi.
to make that
Yeah, sumitai hito, yeah, is more likely to be that they're giving you the cold shoulder, not that they're physically cold to the touch. You know.
Is there a different word for that?
No, it's just that, you know,
Oh, it's
sumitai
just
is
the
used for
concept.
both physical touch and that sort of, you know, abstract concept of, you know, a person who is cold. Just like in English, but we add in cold weather, all on that same word. Japanese splits the weather one off and calls that samui, right? And sumitai is just touch or, you know, human relations. Okay, so, nemui, nemui,
Sleepy.
nemui,
Sleepy.
sleepy, nemui, sleepy, sleepy. Kantana, 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 easy, 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 simple. And notice that the tan is the same as the tan and tanbo. Isn't that interesting?
That is Jpn with
With an extra,
eyebrows.
grass radical. Yeah. Grass radical? No, not grass radical, bamboo radical.
Oh.
That's what that is. So, bamboo time period. Yeah. Bamboo radical is one of those common radicals that just occurs a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has something to do with growing things. Kakaru,
Take.
kakaru, kakaru, to take an amount of money, to take an amount of time. As in, you know, it took 3 hours to get there,
Oh, okay.
that kind of
I was
kakaru.
thinking
Or
like to do
it
something.
cost $500.
Okay.
What kind of
So
kakaru?
you wouldn't use that to say you were wasting someone's time, you wouldn't say kakaru?
There's a different expression for wasting.
Okay.
Tomato.
Stay.
Tomato.
Stay at a hotel.
Tomato. To stay at a hotel. To stay at someone's house. To stay somewhere. Yeah, for the night is implied with tomato. Okay, naru. 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 Become. To become. To become. And that one, you're gonna learn ways that you can combine naru with other things to say like he became more blah. You know, he became more interesting, it became more difficult, something became more whatever. Okay, harau, 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 to pay, to pay, to pay. And that is, you know, talking about money. Right. Yeah. Okay, let's see, the next one is kimeru.
Decide.
Kimeru.
Decide.
Kimeru.
Decide.
Decide.
Kimeru.
To decide.
Kimeru.
To decide.
Kimeru.
旅行する。
Travel.
旅行する。
Travel.
旅行する。
Travel.
Travel. Travel. Travel. 旅行する。Yeah, that 旅 is 旅行 or 旅行 is that 旅 part is auto pronounced. 旅行する。Okay, 練習する。練習する。
So you don't put that now, you drop it.
練習する。
That's why it's always in
Practice.
Is it like
Practice.
so they just call everything national?
はい、練習する。And 練習 is the noun that's been at the header of every chapter's
Always,
practice
always.
section in this entire
She's
book.
got this.
Is that the general term?
Right?
Yeah,
You drop it.
yeah, yeah, you can, anything you don't
keep it,
practice.
you drop it.
顔を練習
Which
する。
one?
So
日本
genki,
語を練習する。
down, genki desu, genki.
料理を練習
So
す
you
る。
always drop
Yeah.
it.
Practice
Yeah.
learning how to cook. Sure. Okay,
Yeah, you only like
Foot.
added up the last one.
No, you don't have your foot.
So, usage example, 歩いて行きます。To go somewhere on foot. To go by means of walking as opposed to some other way of getting there. Okay, 一番
Best.
一番
Best.
一番
Best.
best
Ichiban.
best
Ichiban.
best.
Ichiban.
And that ban is like number, so it's literally like number one. Yeah.
Ichiban.
Okay, ka,
Or.
ka, ka, or, kagetsu.
And then the past negative or
Yes.
just.
For however many months, or months.
Kagetsu. Kagetsu.
So for example, 4 kagetsu would be 4 months. Go, go,
After.
go. Anytime,
Go.
after,
Go.
after. この頃、この頃、この頃。These days, these days, these days. 週間、days, 週間、週間。weeks,
してました。してませんでした。あれですね。
で、
That is better.
はい。By means of-
There needs to be one thing. It looks like hands.
I didn't do anything
So for
different.
example, バスで
Yeah,
行
so
き
you can
ます。To
complete
go by
that.
bus, or 箸で食べます。To eat with chopsticks.
Would that make sense to use for Kabude?
カップで飲む。That could work. Yeah, as opposed to, 瓶から飲む。瓶で飲む。Drinking from a bottle. Yeah, or head in, drinking with your hands, and cupping your hands in the stream or whatever.
Did you buy that? No. My friend gave it to me for my
Okay,
birthday.
so, どうやって、どうやって、
You were really?
どうやって、how, by what means, how. Notice the do is like the how part, and the yatte is the tail form of yaru, yarimasu. Remember that one, to do? So it's literally asking, how are you doing something? どうやって
They throw me off sometimes with that. If they're in a tape form, I think it's just an individual standalone word, not conjugated or anything.
Yeah, it's coming from that root, but doyatte is a phrase, it's a set phrase, so for example, doyatte ikimasu ka? How are you planning to go there? How are you gonna get there? Doyatte ikimasu ka? Are you gonna go by bus, by train, what? You know, or doyatte shimasu ka? How the heck do I do this, you know?
This is so 5 to 8.
Okay. どちら
Which,
どちらどっち
which,
どっち So which, B, どちら or どっち which,
is that
ど
formality?
ちら or どっち Yes, どちら is more formal, どっち is more casual slang.
I wish I could find I have
much?
Will you use your
How long?
iPad?
How much?
When you use your iPad,
So
what
for
program do you
example,
use to
dono
write?
gurai kakarimasu ka? You remember kakaru from before? How much it's gonna take? But dono gurai kakarimasu ka? 2時間ぐらいかかる. Or
No, well, it's not an iPad, but
Is it good eye? Is it
Yeah.
a, is
It's
it
a
a
process.
approximate?
Yeah, so dono gurai kakarimasu ka? About how long or about how much is it gonna take? So like if you're trying to find out how much money it's gonna cost you or how long it's gonna take for you to travel a certain distance. Dono gurai kakarimasu ka? Okay. So nen,
Years.
nen,
Years.
nen,
Years.
years,
What else do you use?
years, years.
I don't use this for
And hayaku,
How do you take notes?
early, fast. Do something early or fast. Notice that there's two different kanji depending on whether you're doing early or fast.
You guys know Tiffany?
See, three?
Isn't that interesting? They're homophones, but there are two different kanji. Okay, let's do kanji flashcards next.
Not that stuff.
これはうん
Oh, nice. Expensive.
お正月。
お正月。
はい、お正月。You know the meaning?
I'm
Go Yeah. Go ahead, read it for us.
New Year.
Yes. お正月 is what Japanese people call the New Year. Japanese New Year. お正月. Yeah, the kanji for tadashi by itself means correctness, but
Correct the year.
it's more like exactness in this meaning. So it's like the exact beginning of the month and the year. Something closer to that. But again, this is a very traditional term, so it's not necessarily something that you can take too literally. It's an ancient word, I think. So that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, Dainen. Coming year, right? Dainen. Nen or year, but it can also be read Toshi. Yeah, which can refer to age sometimes.
This is your
Not Hitoshi, no.
Yeah.
That would be convenient, but no. But Toshi or Nen, depending on the context.
What is it called?
How it means.
No.
Blank. Sumu.
It was like.
To live, right? Notice what it looks like. There's a person radical and a dot, and then this by itself, does anyone know what that radical by itself happens to be? No? So just this part is a king. So you are the king of your castle where you live, Sumu. It's a way to remember it anyway. Hi. San Nensei. Yeah, third year student. How long has it been since we learned that vocab? Now we finally get the kanji for it. Comes full circle. San Nensei.
Here, I'll show you the one I have. The one I have is this one, simply no.
Which kanji is this by itself? Ima. So what's the word for this year? Toshi, there you go.
Probably not.
Remember we said toshi was another word
Yes.
for year?
Yes.
Kotoshi. Kotoshi. Yeah. You remember that this sometimes is kon, as in konnichiwa, and sometimes it's kyo, the first half of kyo, so kotoshi. This kanji for ima had a bunch of oddball readings. Uru. So, does anyone recognize this as looking like one half of something that you know? Well, okay, the bottom half looks similar to
You guys
Genki,
know?
but
Yeah, what do you guys talking
does
about?
anyone remember kanji for
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I have this this one?
That's, you know, what that is.
It's the left-hand side of Yongo, isn't it? The other side of it was the speech radical, right? So, Udu. So, if you think about, this means to sell, right? If you're printing your words and selling them,
It was, the answer was
that's
math
something to
and
read.
I said math over
Interesting, huh?
philosophy.
Combinations, Udu.
Multi-day kudu.
Hai, multi-udu.
Yeah.
Well, motsu is to hold, multi-kudu is to come with it, so to bring it, right? Hai. So, and if you look at the kanji, what's this half?
Time.
Well, it's half of time. It's the half that doesn't have sun, right? But the sun radical makes it time. The hand radical
Makes it.
makes it to hold. You're holding something. This by itself is otera, temple. Buddhist temple.
Oh, no, that
Isn't that interesting? So now we have a different radical on that side, and it goes from
I
Ji
think it's something
to
similar.
Butsu.
Maybe.
But that is the hand radical there. So it makes sense, right? You use your hand to hold something. So, there you go.
It's like after 15 minutes or before 15 minutes, you can get a refund on your purchase.
Okay.
Yes, Nagai, which means
I'm a cheater.
long. And if you look at it, it kind of looks like a measuring stick of some sort. Yeah, doesn't that look like something some architect would be using to measure some complicated thing?
Yeah, well, it looks like it could be like,
It could be.
putting it on someone's head, and that's their hairline down there.
Okay. Alright.
That's what I said.
Okay, so, anyway, yes, which is pronounced Yuki, yes. And if you take away the bottom half, what have you got? Ame, rain, right? Which makes sense, right? Because you've got rain, and if it's cold enough, it turns into snow, right?
What is
The
yellow
bottom
piece?
part looks like katakana yo, right? I don't know that it necessarily has a standalone meaning, it may, but I don't know it offhand.
Okay.
But it looks like katakana yo, right? So you could think about ame, and then yuki has a Y sound in it, and we've got yo here. So yo, there's a relationship sort of.
I don't know.
It's one of the many that has probably morphed so much over time that it no longer sounds anything like what it used to sound like.
What do you pronounce?
But,
If you had the katakana or kanji for ko or child, would it be yukiko?
that's one possible way to write yukiko.
Okay.
Right,
Are they gonna switch textbooks like next semester?
yes.
Oh, yeah, but jibun.
Yeah, hi, jibun,
Ah,
as in,
jibun no butsu.
hi, yeah, self. Yeah, so this G is also the G that means, freedom, it's in Jiu, freedom, and it's in self. So, which makes sense, because if you have freedom, you have the freedom to do what you yourself want, as opposed to what someone else is telling you to do, right? And the boon part is the one that means piece or compartmentalized section of something, you know, you remember we learned for minutes? Kunji, kun, sampun, it's the same kanji. So, oneself separated from the whole of humanity.
So,
That's that separation thing. Because Japanese people think of themselves as part of the group first.
Because I don't have a class until 5.
So jibun, you're separating yourself from the group and only talking about yourself.
is it better to say jibun versus watashi if you're referring to something that you have, like, you wouldn't say watashi no, you
Because
would
at
say
the
jibun no.
library, they have.
It depends on the context. There are times when it's more appropriate to use jibun, there are times when it would sound odd. It's kind of a listen as you go and get a feel for it kind of thing. It's hard to pin down why you use one versus the other.
I can't do today because I have an interview.
I can
And this Michi is also sometimes pronounced O or Do, as in Hokkaido or Aikido, Judo, Shinto.
Really easy.
It's not only road, it's also way, as in the way of. So Bushido, the way of the warrior, Judo, Aikido, a lot of the martial arts end in Do. And Shinto, the way of the gods.
Oh, sorry, it's like,
Yeah, that's the Japanese religion.
it's like
And this is
all-
the same
Yeah.
as the Tao,
There is one there.
the Chinese
Isn't there one
term
by
Tao, same kanji.
Yeah, that,
That one? I used to go there. You guys like there?
yeah.
Yeah, like.
Katsu.
Katsu, right? And if you look at it, it kind of looks like a guy
Where is it? Oh, the,
standing.
it's not at the avenues, it's like, well, you know where Walmart is? Do you know where the Payless is?
Or you
It's
can
next
think
to
of it as looking like some sort of a building,
Yeah, I used to
like
be
that's
at-
the
oh, it's called-
foundation, and then some walls, and a roof,
They call it.
same on the roof.
Okay, that's
Singapore
Singapore.
says three different flags.
Yeah.
The
Katsu.
two legs or something.
Like I was
Yeah.
looking for it and I kept like going around this.
And then almost the last.
Yoru.
Yoru, yes.
It's basically hit here around 9:20,
And
about 9:20.
if you remember, this is like sunset, it's peaks,
My dad gets, dressed to,
and this is sometimes called a lid,
so he like that,
and this
yeah.
is a person. So if you think of a person at sunset, under maybe a roof,
Feel it close.
because it's now almost nighttime, so they're gonna go to sleep. So, Yoru.
What part of it?
Yeah. I don't know what part of it. Close to where you
Around
guys
that much.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Still not.
Oh.
Your mailing address, Melbourne?
Well, it
I
could
thought
be
university
Kyono
was-
Asa,
Or
but
maybe
it's
the next one,
not.
'cause I know like.
It's close to Conway.
Yeah.
This is Asa.
But you gotta walk it now.
This-
It's fine.
Yes,
My dad
it's
used
a
to work
weird
at
reading,
That's why I know.
but the combination does mean this morning.
Okay.
But it's an oddball reading again. So Kyo no Asa gets shortened to Kesan. So, okay, so that's all.
Oh, is this
kanji,
the-
this
Maybe it is.
lesson. So you guys can go ahead and start
That's
working
fine.
on reading some of your grammar explanation and see if you can figure out practice A, then to say, oh, and we're already past our time, so, yeah, it's after noon already, so, wow, that was, okay, guys, I don't want Ellie to be late for her class, so she might need to leave, but it's 12:10. That clock is wrong, I guess, but it's,
There you go.
yeah. Okay, so, do you guys feel, yeah, class is pretty much over, but how do you guys feel that went? Did that work to do kind of half and half like that?
That was alright.
Yeah, just like get the points and then we just kind of work on it.
Yeah.
We're like thinking about like
Did they go
after
first
class.
week?
What's that?
Like we're thinking of like meeting after class and like.
Yeah, you guys can do more practice on your own, so I can introduce some of the concepts, and maybe we could start an exercise like next time. Maybe we won't do the vocabulary every class because it takes up so much time.
Do you wanna?
So maybe like next class, instead of starting with vocab, maybe we'll start with, okay, you go ahead and go, we'll finish talking about this and then, So like, next class, does it seem to you guys like it would be better to do vocab more on your own for the most part? Maybe just do it once through in class like we just did to introduce it? But then I think it's gonna take up too much time if we try to do it in class every time.
We can just split off, we can go hide in the corner while you work on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So,
So, yeah, so what we might need to do is, for the first part of the class, I work with one group while the other group splits off and does their own practice. And then whatever questions you guys come up with in the course of your practicing, that's what we can focus on. Like, weren't sure if you were doing number 3 right, or whatever.
Right.
We can focus on that when it's my turn to meet with you guys, and they can kind of do the same thing. You guys can practice on your own after class, or whatever you're gonna get together, and then come to me with whatever questions you have to start this next class. Okay, so on Thursday, I'll help you with whatever you guys have questions about grammar-wise while they're working independently, and then I'll answer their questions while you guys work independently. Okay? And this is somebody's book.
Ellie's, oh my.
Oh, yours.
Thank you.
Okay, and how was the conjugation stuff? Did that,
We got kind of confused.
okay,
with
so
with
the E and the na stuff?
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
the rest are just like you reverse,
Yeah.
reverse, so we just figured it out.
Okay, so that'll be one of the things we focus on next class, is I'll talk to you three about how to conjugate articles.
Oh, so
Yeah,
those were
so we went to school here, just like, you do it now, you just drop it down.
Yeah, the na ones are relatively easy because you guys have already learned how to conjugate nouns, and it's basically the same
I did
thing.
the warm-up, just cause.
Oh,
Oh, I forgot to do the warm-up.
yeah, you didn't have to do that one, I forgot to mention it, but I left that up because I've got an evening class in the same classroom,
Oh.
and so I left that from this morning, but you don't really have to do the warm-up.
Well, now you know.
If I have a warm-up idea for you guys, I'll label it that it's for you.
Okay.
But if you see something that looks like a level 1 thing, you don't have to do it.
Put my heart down, so I figured.
Aw, thank you. Okay, and I know Amanda has to get to work and Ellie has a job to get to, but if you guys have questions, if you want to come in a few minutes earlier, I'm usually going to just be here anyway, or if you have the time to stay